Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin O'Reilly, and on behalf of Stoke Consulting, I want to welcome you to this session. Thank you for taking time to join us. So welcome to the session today. It's on the use and adoption of artificial intelligence in business. Good to see so many business owners and managers here. Hopefully you're going to be curious, you're going to be engaged, and most of all, you're going to be ready to explore one of, I suppose, the most transformative technologies of our time. We're certainly living through a period of rapid acceleration. AI is no longer a futuristic concept. It's definitely here. It's embedded. You can see already in the tools we use every day, the decisions we're making, the way we're interacting with customers, employees, and also the markets that we're doing business in. And it ranges from automating routine tasks to unlocking new insights from data. And AI, of course, has the potential to really reshape how businesses are going to operate and compete, not just into the future, but right now, here today. But of course, with any great potential, and as business leader, it brings great responsibility on your side. As leaders, we would need to understand, I suppose, not just what AI can do, but how you might adopt it wisely. So that means asking the right questions in your role as a business leader. How do we ensure transparency and fairness? How do we protect jobs while also enhancing and lifting productivity? And not least, how do we continue to build trust throughout our business and our environments with our teams, our customers, and our own colleagues and ourselves? So to help us navigate these questions, I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, which is Ram Veramani. Ram is a seasoned technology leader. I'm going to read his bio here because it's some of the language I might lose. He's a seasoned technology leader with several decades of experience driving business-led digital strategy across industries, including construction, engineering, manufacturing, government, telecom, health, and utilities. Ram specializes in developing strategic technology frameworks and digital roadmaps that leverage modern technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, to align business growth with innovation. He also brings deep expertise in the core foundations of AI, such as support vector machines and deep neural networks. So Ram, with that, thank you very much. And thank you again for everybody to join today. Looking forward to the session and handing it over to you, Ram. Just a quick housekeeping. You can put your questions in the chat room as we go along. There will be a period of pause as we go through the session. I think, Ram, you've got some questions to put forward to the group so they can answer as we go along. And then at the end of the session, you can add some more questions if you wish. I believe we're recording it, so it will be available as well post the session. So with that, over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I will make your lunch worthwhile with this session. I hope so. Thanks for joining the session. This is going to be a two-part training. Part one is what we are going to do today, which is more about intuition and understanding of what we're dealing with in terms of the technology paradigm that has taken over most of the conversation in the business world. That will involve some historical understanding of the evolution, some understanding of the capabilities, and also intuitive understanding of what works and what doesn't. We will reserve practical applications and practical examples for next session, which is scheduled for a few weeks from now. While that is happening, what we will also do is we want to make this an interactive session rather than me talking through. I do have some polls scheduled throughout the session to get your feedback And feel free to put in your questions in the chat so that we can have a discussion. All right, so with that, I will start off the session with the first poll. Uh, you can use your mobile phone or preferably your laptop. In your lap, for if you are using your laptop, you might want to use the link provided below. If you're using a mobile phone, please scan the QR code and enter the poll code out there, and you will be able to respond. The key thing is while you're using a mobile phone, please do use it in a landscape mode because that's how the app works. I will give you a couple of minutes to respond to the poll. I think we have got halfway through with the responses. That's brilliant. We can see the trend coming through. It is quite evident that most of us are using AI one way or the other, at least weekly. So that is the kind of impact this technology has had in the last few years in our lives. We have gone from not having to do anything with AI other than probably using Alexa in our homes to using this on a daily basis. So some of you have called yourself as a power user, which means probably you're using it more often than others. And you might be aware of various techniques in which you use this. We will discuss all of that in the session as we go forward. Thanks, everyone. The intuition that I want to get from this is most of us are using it on a daily basis. So those who are not, probably this is the time to start getting to know this technology and start being making it part of your daily life, because this technology is here to stay. This is not like a lot of fads or fashion that we have seen in the past few decades in terms of digital technologies. This is slightly different. It is truly transformative and it is here to stay. And that's why we need to be aware of its capabilities and limitations. Thanks all. I will move on to the next slide. So what we will do is probably in the first section, we will take a look at the evolution of AI and LLMs. Now, you might be using it as a chatbot where you're asking certain questions, you're uh, asking AI to help you out in your daily job. However, it is good to understand where it came from and where it is going to. So the key difference between what we are handling today versus what we had 30 years back was earlier the systems were rule based. The rules were written by humans. We told the computer to do a next step based on certain conditions. We used to say, if this question is asked, pick up this response. If this particular action is requested, enter a particular detail in this tool. So we set rules to the machine, and the machine, which is the computer, followed the instruction, and it was truly diligent in following the instruction. It was highly efficient. We saw a lot of efficiencies. Now, what it did is that it kind of created capabilities which had got rigid patterns, right? So it had to follow certain workflows, certain norms to be able to function because it was rule based. And the more rules you put in, the more complex the systems became. Now you have modern AI, which is called generative AI, which means it can generate content, things like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. They are slightly different because they can create the rules themselves. You don't have to set the rules. They use mathematical probability and capabilities of its understanding of how one word is related to another word. That is a primary capability it has got. It is called uh, semantic understanding of a meaning of a word and how it is related to another word. Based on this understanding of language and based on its capability to probabilistically expand its understanding, these tools can create their own rules and take the workflow forward through their own pathways that they create. That is the major difference. And because they are trained on massive data sets where the rules set by humans over the last few centuries are captured, it feels like they are following a pathway which is familiar to us. All they are doing is they are trying to replicate what has historically happened, and they are trying to probabilistically achieve the same outcome. So it feels like they are following a set of rules, but they are essentially creating their own pathways. That takes us to the discussion of how these systems are evolving. If you think about how these systems have evolved, I would divide that into three separate eras. So the first era is what I would call as data mining era, where the capability of these systems depended on the number of rules you applied in analyzing large data sets and gain understanding from it. That was a longish era where there was little innovation, but a lot of experimentation. Then there was a breakthrough in 2012 where there was an algorithm that was developed by a professor in University of Toronto, and that algorithm helped these machines to better predict the next outcome. So the next outcome. That created something known as deep learning or deep neural networks. And then came out your Alexas and Google AI devices that you have in your homes now. Then after 2017, that took another step change through another algorithm developed by the same university, but a different set of researchers funded by Google. And that algorithm is called the transformer algorithm. And that transformer algorithm created this ability for these tools to understand the meaning of a word and its relationship to other words. That way, it could predict the next word and the next word and next word, and thus it could create sentences, it could create lines of code, it could run these lines of code in a development environment and create some automations. So what you're seeing now is a result of that 2017 paper and research that has come out from there. The next step is probably what is called as super intelligence, which is what people are working towards. And there are different timelines that are coming out in the media around what is a realistic nature, but in the next 5 to 10 years, we will definitely see extreme super intelligence, which could not only understand the relationship between words, but also be able to reason, be able to think, be able to come out with advanced understanding of things like humans do. So that day is not far away. So we are part of a major revolution, major uh, change in human existence, which could go either ways, which could go really bad for us or which could go really good for us. It is up to us, this generation and the next generation, to decide how we take part in it and how we guide this process. I'll stop there and open up for any questions or any queries that has come through from the group.
So Ram, there's nothing so far in the chat.
Oh, brilliant. That's okay. So we have another poll for you guys. Can you please scan this code and enter your response, please? Good to see that there is very limited skepticism in this group, and there is a lot of enthusiasm around the fact that you can see the ability for these tools to seemingly learn from what has happened in the past, right? Your conversations of the past and ability to handle a lot of data. Yep. And you can see that what we spoke up until now, the reason it creates unique responses is because it is creating its own rules as it goes. It is probabilistically trying to find the most suitable next word, and really fast, in the matter of microseconds, it's constructing sentences, and it feels like it is giving you a unique response. And most of the response is essentially dependent on the inputs you provide, which is the third bullet point there, which is it understands the context from earlier messages. The earlier message, starting from your first message, which is known as a prompt, gives it a pathway or a starting point, and it picks up that pathway and traverses that pathway. And the more you converse, it kind of forms new conversational pathways. That means that the more every time if you ask the same question twice, it might not give you the same answer. Okay, that's good. Going back to the training material. Yes, this is really important to note that we have, after 2017, what happened was that in 2018, GPT-1 was released, which kind of was a accidental discovery, right? One of the research scientists from OpenAI was doing a research program with in which they downloaded a lot of conversations from Reddit chat chains and chat groups, and they uploaded it into a algorithm, a transformer algorithm, and created a chatbot to understand what was going on in those Reddit forums. And when they started inquiring, they realized that the chatbot was responding to them like a human. And that was a serendipitous discovery. And that led to the understanding that the model, the probabilistic model behind the chatbot, was actually trying to figure out the meaning of words and its relationship to other words, and it was responding like humans. That led to more investment, more research into GPT with more data sets and more training. That resulted in a lot of what you call as parameters, like probabilistic nodes, to set pathways for the ChatGPT to understand. And then ChatGPT hits mainstream in 2022, and here we are. 3 years down the line, the cost of AI has reduced by 20 times. Newer models have emerged. The ability of AI has increased by several um, tenfold or 20-fold increase in the ability of AI. There is ongoing race towards super intelligence. We all have to participate in it because the future of our kids relies on how the world takes part in deciding what the future of artificial intelligence is going to be. So we all have a part to play in it because it's going to affect our lives very deeply. Let's talk about what's going on today to understand a little bit of capabilities and risks of generative AI tools. And how do we approach the utilization of these tools in our businesses, in our business landscape? We understood the technology, we understand the theory now, we understand the intuition. How do we practically apply it in our business? That's what we are going to look at. So there are few things that are going on in the business landscape as we speak. AI assistants are becoming really common. Everyone is using one or the other AI assistant, whether it is ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic Claude or Microsoft Copilot. You might have one of these four or all four in your businesses. What's happening now is people are thinking beyond that. People are thinking of multimodality. People are thinking to introduce AI into their business, which can generate marketing images, which can make voice calls to their customers, which can help them create their own apps without knowing coding. They're thinking about audiovisual engagement through tools like Sora and VO3. So we are moving away. If you think about this tool like a human being, the ability was just to write words, process text. We are now providing the tool, or we are trying to apply the capabilities of these two, the AI engines, to be able to see through vision and speak through voice and hear and respond. And we are giving it abilities to be able to creatively produce content. And most importantly, what is relevant for this group and us a lot is enterprise AI integration. That is where agentic AI comes in. All of the tools which are listed above are essentially consumer focused tools, which have got one application, one capability. The way you put these together gives a capability for a business to help augment its productivity. That is where agentic AI comes in. Agentic AI is nothing but AI which has got agency, which has got access to your business application, which has got access to your business tools so that it can help you run your business. So organizations are starting to adopt enterprise AI capabilities into their businesses, but with caution. That takes us to the next poll. If you can look at scan this query and scan this QR code and respond to
Can
the
we
poll.
just give that a few extra seconds because I think
Sure.
it gets removed too quickly and people haven't got it done. And Ram, when we finish this poll, there's one or two questions that have come up there, one from Diana
Sure.
and one from Dan. Okay.
Yeah, we can take that. So this was the response from the previous poll. I'll go to next one. I can see that the trend is biased towards getting AI to assist with creating draft version of contents as well as analyzing large data sets. Yeah, that's interesting.
But I would imagine corporations or companies at some stage will be keen to try and realize some value out of
Yeah,
all the data that they collect, right? Which kind of raises the question around my understanding. I've heard this from a CEO of another company that he used the phrase that if somebody tells you it's quite easy, you bring AI in or agentic AI and give them access to your data, and next thing you know, they'll have it all sorted and sifted. His comment was it's a fallacy. He said that getting your data pool, I think, is really difficult to really get that set up properly. I think it takes a lot of time and effort and
that's
potential
correct.
cost. So
That's
I'm not
correct.
sure on that one. Hey, Rob, Diana has asked a question. I'll just read it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience, are companies guiding AI use with clear strategic direction, or is it mostly left to the individuals within an organization to experiment and figure out the time or cost savings or effectiveness on their own? Which is a very good question because at the
Yeah,
moment, and I suppose that's part of the fear is how do you adopt it into an organization? How do you put parameters or walls around it or boundaries for people? Um, so a good question, Ram. I
that's
don't know if you
correct.
have thoughts on that.
Yeah, of course. We work with a lot of organizations in this regard already, and some of them have joined this call as well. The idea is that you have to let your business strategy lead the AI implementation, not the other way around. You cannot find a problem for AI to solve. That is what we are trying to do, and that is something that something organizations do at in the fear of missing out. Right? They see their competitors adopting AI, and they want to adopt AI as well. So there is a concept that we work with our clients on. The essential idea is to make your AI business led, make your AI adoption business led. And there is a framework that we have pulled together that is called the 4AI framework, which we will talk about later. The whole idea is to understand the value chain of your business priorities, and then see where AI fits in to achieve those business priorities and business outcomes. There is a radical way of looking at it as well, where some high tech organizations have used AI to reimagine their business, but that is in the fringes. That is something that can be done, but not by everyone, not by all organizations. That requires a lot of investment, a lot of rethinking of how you do your business. But in general, 80% of the businesses should look at their business strategy first, their business priorities, their business value chain and see how AI fits in to achieve the business outcomes in that value chain. That is the way to go. Any other approach is going to be a one-off uh, proof of concept or pilot that is going to stay there without much business impact.
Okay. Ram, how are we doing for time? We're half an hour in. Are you okay on time?
Yeah, we are going. We are
Great.
good on
Okay.
time. Yeah. So you said there were other questions?
Dan just had a question. I
Yeah,
think we might address that later on because it's asked for strengths, weaknesses, and I think it'll take us down a
sure.
historic assessment of the evolution of these things. So we might come back to Dan separately on that
Yeah.
and leave you carry on.
Yeah. No problem.
Sorry, Dan.
Thank you. So what can AI do? That's a big question that people ask. And usually the answer is a technical response. What we have tried to do with the 4AI framework is to put in a more business or a common language perspective of what AI can do. Generative AI and most AI capabilities that we have today can do one of these four things. It can do either one of the four A's, which is author, which means it can create content, create textual content. It can author documents. It can author emails. It can author marketing copies, and so on and so forth. The key there is whether you want to let AI draft the final version or do you want AI to draft the first version. That's a key thing to think about. Then what AI can do is it can digest various types of data, like large documents, structured databases, then images, PDF files, PowerPoint packs, Excel sheets, all in one place. It can consume all of that and create cohesive analysis across all of these. That is possible. But things to consider is cost. AI driven data analysis is not cheap. It is costly when done at scale. And are you doing it just because that capability is there and it is so nice to do it? Or are you doing it to achieve a business outcome which directly impacts your top line or bottom line or your risk profile? So that is a question that you need to ask there. And how much time are you investing to validate the data and validate the analysis that AI has done? That's another thing to think about. Assist and augment, which is a common use case, which all of us are using AI on, which is ability to use AI to have a assistant on the side to help augment your capability. This could be a chatbot. This could be a work assistant. This could be more of a workforce, AI agentic workforce. There are various forms it takes. And the key thing is that it doesn't replace a human, it augments a human. That's a key aspect to worry about there and probably imbibe into your business. And finally, automate. As we spoke, AI has the ability to write code because it can write any language, it can write words. Codes are words in non-incomprehensible language, but they are words, and AI understands the relationship between two words. So it understands how codes are written, and lines of codes can be written by AI. Notwithstanding its ability, sometimes these code fragments that AI writes are not that good. So having said that, it has got this ability that with that capability, you can automate simple and sometimes complex steps in terms of how AI is utilized in your business. There, you might want to think about how do you reposition the time saved to uh, ensure that the freed up time is invested in more value adding interactions, customer interactions by the people who are involved. So, key thing to take away from this discussion is that human oversight is essential. AI can hallucinate, AI can create its own version of truth because it's all about words. It doesn't, and AI is not empathetic, it doesn't have ethics. So it's really important that any content that is generated by AI is supervised and validated by a human being. And AI is most effective when it is supporting a human in performing this work. And this is proved by research. When organizations have tried replacing humans with AI, especially software organizations for coding and for development purposes, they soon realize that the code generated by AI is not manageable. So they had to rehire. While rehiring, they realized that AI works really well when it is a sidecar to a human being rather than the key driver. Really important message to keep in mind in your businesses as well. So some of the things that you need to understand about what generative AI is. First thing is that human oversight is non-negotiable. You cannot avoid human oversight in any AI implementation and AI operations as well. So if you want to implement a truly independent AI enabled engine, that is not recommended. So truly autonomous AI engine, not recommended. Human plus AI autonomy, yes, that is what we should do. Why? Because AI doesn't have true understanding. As we spoke, it has the ability to predict the next word based on talent, based on patterns. It doesn't have any context. Though we seem to think that it has got context of our previous conversation, it doesn't. It just knows what words were spoken and what other words are related to those words. AI doesn't have common sense. And though it might look like that, AI doesn't have reasoning capabilities like humans do, though it might look like that. So it is actually pretending to look like it has got these capabilities. And if you think about it, AI is not truly creative. It is a remix engine, essentially. Whatever it has been trained on, it kind of remixes that knowledge. You might argue that even humans do that, right? Humans are not truly creative. We remix what we have learned through our understanding, our upbringing, our historical exposure, so on and so forth. Having said that, humans have got several other things like senses, constant thoughts, creative imagination. None of that is there with AI. All of this is just regurgitation of the past trained data. And most importantly, AI can hallucinate. That is, when AI goes through a pathway and it can't find the next word, it just makes up a random word. That means if it's asked to come up with a number or a percentage of people who like AI versus percentage of people who don't, if it can't find a research, then it will be forced to make up a number, right? 80% like AI and 20% don't. So it will hallucinate. It will create make believe content. And this has happened more recently when a big four firm, it was in the newspapers. So when a big four firm submitted a report to a university, it cited certain examples or certain research that never existed. It made up all the research, and the big four firm had to pay back a part of the fees. So if you are using AI to communicate with your client, ensure that you always verify. So you save some time after your AI generation to verify the content that is created by AI. And obviously, it lacks emotional intelligence and ethics. It doesn't care. So a job site tried to train their data in AI, and the job site in order to recommend jobs for candidates, and AI started recommending fire east jobs to men and front desk jobs to women, because that's how the historical data was indicating, and it was just following suit. It doesn't have ethics, it doesn't have emotional intelligence, it doesn't, it is not politically correct. So please ensure that when you are using generative AI in your job, you always verify and provide human oversight to it. With that, I'll stop and
Yeah, we
go
have.
into, yeah, we
Yeah,
do have questions.
let's do the poll first, then we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
come back to questions. Yeah.
no problem. Yeah. So if you can scan this QR code again, and please start off with your polls, that would be good. Yeah, there's a fairly even distribution there.
Yeah.
So you would like to see some use cases where you can analyze some large data sets, and you will also like to see how um, AI can assist in supporting your decisions and also automation. Yeah, noted. That is something that can be organized. We are planning for some hands-on sessions for you guys as well. And we are also planning for some demonstrations where we can work together in um, some discussions on
Yeah.
these topics. Yeah,
Ram, I know it's a relatively, small sample in the scheme of things, but
yeah,
looking at the distribution, which is fairly even,
yeah,
do you think that's a reflection of us as a group? Everybody's still kind of chewing over and trying to
absolutely.
digest how will this work for me? Where will it apply? Because I'm hearing that with other groups and corporations I've interacted with, where there seems to be no set kind of. I wasn't hearing in the rooms I was in. I wasn't hearing a real voice of confidence saying we will use it in this way and that way.
Yeah,
Even large corporations were still battling with how will we take this on board, and it kind of leads to a question here, if you don't mind, from I think it came from Stephen, um, and it's even said the global blockchain implementation seems to have become sorry, just seems to have become a corporate activity, uh, not producing great examples of distributed power that blockchain had promised.
yeah.
Uh, it seems they don't want to lose power. Could the same thing happen in AI? Interesting question.
So the the idea of blockchain was, uh, I would say, too immature to implement in a business scenario. That's why it failed, because it was more very idealistic to achieve what blockchain promised, and it required massive restructuring of the way we run businesses. So that was one of the reasons where blockchain did not take off, other than being a distributed database. It rather than distributed management, it became a distributed database. That's where it is still now. See, the key difference with AI is that AI is actually participating in your workflow in a very, very organic manner. You could not use blockchain the way you're using your AI today. So there is no chat GPT equivalent for blockchain other than making money off cryptocurrencies, right? That's a different topic altogether. So uh, the, the the technologies are totally different, and AI has got around 65 years of solid, validated mathematical probabilistic research behind it. And this, I think it is totally unfair to compare what happened with blockchain to AI. But I hear you. There is a disillusionment that will come through to people when they expect too much of AI and when they realize that it can do only so much. And there will also be the other side of the picture where people think that this is not going to impact me, and suddenly it comes from the left field and it's all over the place, and you're forced to learn or forced to uptake. So, yeah, the answer to that question is that this is not like blockchain, and it is here to stay, and you can't ignore AI as a capability for your business.
Okay. And there's another question from Glenn then, which said there is a strong appeal in utilizing AI to digest, say, long documents or complex documents for analysis, but recent findings do point to the significant security risks in
Yep.
sharing sensitive documents with AI tools. What can we do to utilize these tools for data analysis without putting company data at risk? Which is, I mentioned that
Yeah.
some of the forums I was in with people not having a real, there was no kind of voice of a taking a particular position other than the legal compliance people in the room who, if they had their way, I think they'd shut the whole thing down because they seem to be totally fearful of this, which is fair enough. But that's a relevant question about security here of
Yeah.
data.
So uh, when I'll take some examples. What we do when we work with our clients, there are few guardrails that we establish in terms of how AI is utilized in the business. A publicly hosted AI is a strict no. We try to utilize AI within the periphery of the organization. If they are in an Azure environment, we try to use AI hosted within Azure. If they are in an AWS environment, we try to utilize AI that is hosted within Amazon Web Services, and that is secure for that particular organization. The second thing that we look at is residency, data residency. Any data that is provided to AI should reside within Australia and reside within the premises of the organization. That it is. That way the data doesn't AI doesn't get trained with the data, and AI doesn't expose that data externally. The third thing that we do is data sovereignty in terms of ensuring that all data sits within Australia and the AI models utilized are sitting within Australia. This is not too expensive as you might think. Putting in a lot of constraints is expensive, but with AI tools, modern AI systems, all of this can be affordable for reasonable sized organizations. So there are safety guardrails that you should apply first up while designing your AI systems, so that all of these safety measures are built in to your AI systems. And we are also developing an AI auditing mechanism, which is reliant on the voluntary AI safety standards that Australian government have set up. And there is other standards like NIST RMF, and ISO 42001 that the US AI Act has set up, and there is a EU AI Act, which is really good. All of these are recommending certain practices. Those practices have to be embedded in your AI deployment. It might sound ominous, but I assure you it is not. It will keep you safe, and it is not super expensive to do this as well. You're on mute, Kevin.
Just on that theme, Chris has asked a question. Can I clarify, does that mean you need to get a private subscription that would keep information private, but then free versions or sites are actually dangerous?
100% free versions don't give you the ability to not let your data be trained on the AI. So there are some basic principles. Of course, you should not share any confidential data to any AI to start off. The second thing is, if at all you're planning to share some confidential data, redact it in such a way that personal information is not included, and your subscription is definitely private.
Okay, a question, something that came up earlier from my mind was, if I'm thinking about, say, a small mid-sized business,
Yeah.
are there major cost investment hurdles here? I suppose where I'm going with this is, as this progresses along, does it become captured by those firms with just massive, deep investment pockets?
No, that is what we are working on, and that is something that we are very passionate about, to ensure that the technology is democratic and is available to everyone. So the cost models that we work with our partners like Microsoft or with various providers is to ensure that you're not investing too heavily on introducing these capabilities into your business, and every organization is able to afford that. To answer your question, the affordability is obviously relative, but I can assure you that it is not only restricted for those with deep pockets.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, with that, I think we are coming up to a wrap up for this session. We can spend some more time discussing if you have any questions. Otherwise, what's happening next is that we have got a follow-up session, which will be organized in a couple of weeks. There, we will go into the practical aspects of what we have spoken today. Carry these intuitions with yourself that AI without humans is not safe. AI with humans is productive. And what essential skills do we humans need to work with AI is what we are going to look at in the next session, which includes things like prompt engineering, critical thinking, and ethical, responsible AI use. In that practice sessions, we will also look at building your own custom assistant, automating a simple business process, drafting content, analyzing a critical data set to retrieve insights, and many other examples. There will also be a quiz that will be run towards the end of that session. And at the end of the quiz, you will all be awarded a credential for attending the foundation module of the AI for Leaders program. The AI for Leaders program actually has got 4 modules. This is the first module that you're looking at this session and the next session. You'll get a badge for certification. If you need the certification, and if you need to go into advanced understanding of how you implement AI in your business, the rest of the modules will be available for you to sign up at a later stage. But don't forget to attend the next session and earn your credential, which you will be able to share on LinkedIn and validate your AI skills.
Okay, thanks, Ram. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, again for attending. We have recorded the session, so if you want to access that, you can. And please, if you have any other questions, reach out to your contact at Stoke Consulting, and they'll be happy to help and direct you with that. And hopefully we'll see you at the next session. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.